in order for us to paint this, we got to get this all cleaned up. This is that turkey tray that goes in the intake area. Then the manifold's got to get cleaned up and the valve covers, and then we can paint it. But this thing is keeping oil that's splashing around from heating up your intake manifold, and this is sucking vapors from the pistons coming down, if there's blow by, and the PC pulls the vapors back through the carburetor. This thing was so hard, I had the PCV valve in a vise and I was trying to pull the thing off. I'm crushing the PCV valve, I couldn't get it, I had a channel locks. I just crumbled that hard plastic, and the piece fell down there and I dug it out. This was all like coked up, burnt oil in here, and I had to run brushes through here. You can't really get at it that good, but I was running brushes all in here. And this is just a way to evacuate the vapors and not be sucking oil up through your carburetor. It's like a baffle. And don't ever sandblast these parts, because if sand got inside here, it would suck into the engine through the PCV, through the carburetor, sandblast your engine, it would be no good. Try to stay away from any kind of sandblasting when it comes to parts. If you do an intake manifold, thoroughly wash it, then wash it, in your solvent tank, and then do it with soapy water and stuff. You can't get it clean enough. It's just, I'm really leery about sandblasting parts. This is the oil filter housing, and this is where the oil pressure sender is. And then there's a little bypass right here. It was everything had burnt oil and gunk. I cleaned all the passages out. And, a lot of times, if this thing was done like at a job shop, they don't have time to do that. They kind of wash the parts, blew them off, and they're putting them back on the car. If you got your own car and it's a labor of love, you're going to be dedicating a lot of time just to cleaning all your parts. The cleaner you get them, the longer it'll last looking clean. And you can feel safer about putting it together, not having a piece of gunk go through your bearings. This is the thing that does the sealing. It's just a little wafer, and it would keep that closed. Now if the filter gets so clogged and it overcomes this pressure of this spring, then it pushes off of there, and then it'll just go through it, and you're putting dirty oil through your motor, and then dirty oil starts wearing where it comes out of the hole of your crankshaft, goes around the bearings, and then starts eroding away at your bearings. And usually guys that are race car drivers don't even have a bypass, and they eliminate this kind of stuff because they change their oil so often. Pressure sending units, and you can see this whole channel is going to be full of oil, and it's just trying to get through, from the pump and then through the filter, and it wants to get in and go to the place where there's less pressure, and that's going through the channels through your motor and keeping a nice oil cushion on your bearings.
Here it is reassembled.
Normally when you have these bungs and they're nice and soft, you just grab them and you pop them out. And that other one and this one, they're so hard, I'm going to have to just crumble it to get it out. I'll have to grab this with vice grips or it'll tear, because they just get from heat. You can see all the cracking in here. And there's a lip that goes around the groove, and I'm going to have to bust it out. There, and I broke it. You can see now once I got that lip, there. It's hard as pig iron.
I mean, that should have been replaced during the last rebuild. Like you said, it's just a quickie, in and out, get the car out.
When somebody, has a body shop and they get a hold of a car cheap because maybe it has a problem and the owner doesn't want to deal with it, so they get it for a song, and then they got to fix it, and all of a sudden they got an engine problem. So they got a guy that they know, or a guy that knows a guy, and he'll do it for cheap, but they're only gonna give them this amount of money. You know, do it for this amount. It's always on a budget, because the end results, they know that what the going price is for these cars. And they don't wanna be, you know, topsy-turvy. You could make the car beautiful and stick 50 grand into it, and if you only sell for 40, you just gave somebody $10,000 in a car. So they've got to try to keep it on a budget, and they're going to cut some corners.
I looked up the number on this distributor, and it appears to be a 76 350 distributor out of a Firebird or a A-body, I believe. It doesn't have any value as far as I'm concerned, so I'm going to turn it into a oil pump priming tool. Finished product. If I was to do it again, I think I would try to leave a little more in the end here, but that should be enough to get her done. We'll dump some oil in this and see what happens. I just kept priming it until I got oil out of all the rocker arms. To do that, I had to roll the engine over a couple times to get all the lifters to line up with the oil holes. I'm going to glue this gasket right to the valley pan and then drop her in. Got a skim coat on it. Torque spec seems like a lot on these. I actually ended up going under torque spec on this. Trying to get torque spec, it was rolling the edge of the valley pan in. I think it'll be sealed up pretty good though. I'm just gluing one side of the valve cover gasket down, let it set up, and then I'm going to put some Vaseline on here. Put a little Vaseline on this edge so it doesn't stick. We're onto the water pump. We got to get this plate off the old one. How close would you say that is? 1/4 inch, maybe a little tighter. But the car didn't have any cooling problems at all. It cooled perfectly fine. So I'm really not that worried about having a super tight tolerance there. The new water pump is a high volume pump, and we have a high volume thermostat to match.
And they must have had some real hard water, and this is all the rust from the block. Here's a beautiful new water pump. We were looking at this little groove right there. Here's the gasket that is on the outside of that groove. There's like, were they just cheap on the aluminum, or is this some kind of a bypass or equalizer? But we were looking at all these pits. They're not through.
These go into the timing chain cover, and that thing pushes up on it. I didn't realize that the Felpro kit came with some new gaskets for the originals. Otherwise I wouldn't have got replacement ones. I think these were like 22 bucks. The gap from that impeller to the plate looks the same. I'm going to run it. Seems like a goofy system Pontiac has here. There's a bolt right here if you... I gotta admit that this BOP timing chain cover really fit nice. I mean, everything's lining up.
Usually when you get aftermarket stuff, it's never the same. This fits exactly like the original.
Well, this is it. We wiped and wiped on it, try to get it as clean as possible, and it's one of those deals where no matter how much you wipe it, you keep getting more dirt off of it. Get everything plugged up as good as possible. We're gonna spray bomb it with some VHT primer.
I'm just going through the moves like I'm mowing the lawn in the dark. Oh no, I'm covering the numbers. They probably can't believe we're doing this in the wind. In the dark.
Here it is, after another night of screwing around. Let that dry overnight.
Scuffing it up so the color will stick to the primer. Won't stick to a smooth surface. So, just giving it a little light Scotch-Brite, rubbing it down, and you'll have to blow it off. We're painting outside, and the wind is blowing all over. I always turn it down, because all the stuff is settled, and then this will help pull it. Then you get to swing it around the circle. You know, whatever you can. You can't shake these up enough. I'm just putting a thin tack coat on it, so it'll start to bite. Better off putting on a bunch of thin coats than putting it on too heavy and getting a run, because this is going to show.
I'm not sure how much I'm liking this color. If I'm not mistaken, this is only a 2-year color, like 73, 74.
Well, it looks like a remanufactured engine.
Here's the old Ames catalog. 73, 74. See the one above it, 71 to 73. I'm doing some further research here, and it looks like they changed the color in March of 1973. So I actually put the wrong color on the engine.